Doobie doo, doobie doo doo doo. Doobie doobie dom. Doobie doo 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 doo. Bum ba dum. Doobie doo, doobie doobie doo. Do I think it might be working? Can you let me know? Hello. Hello. Can you let me know in the chat if you can hear me? That would be great. I'm just trying to get myself comfortable, which is no easy task. So it's all different. I'm feeling all different because I'm in a different place, in a different corner. I don't quite know what I'm doing. So yeah, let me know if you can hear me. That would be helpful. I'm just sorting myself out. So if you can, I need to work out where the chat is and things like that. You can hear me. Good. Your video is fine. Good. Okay, that's a good start. In that case, I'm going to try to attempt to do something clever and go like that. I haven't worked this out yet. I mean, I must have been live streaming now for a year, if not more. And I still can't work out the best way to monitor myself so that I can see what myself is doing myself. Because in a moment, oh, you see that title just slid away beautifully. But it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter what I talk about. So, good, right, okay, so yeah, go for it. Sorry, I'm all a bit befuddled as usual. Hello, good evening, and welcome to this, which is the beginning of my Molten Modular DIY week. What a crazy idea! And yet here we are having this idea, doing this thing together. That's really quite exciting. I mean, it's, you know, why do this? Why do this at all? Well, to be honest, my main motivation really comes from the fact that I have, over here, I'll show you in a minute, a whole bunch of kits and synthesizers and stuff that I just can't seem to find the time to tackle. And I need to, because I love it and I like it and I get tied up in other bits of work, which everything's important. That's the difficulty in trying to do what I do, is that I have lots of things, each of which seem to be vying for importance, and all of them to me seem like amazing things. I could do this, I could do this, I could do a video about that. Or I need to do this, I need to write that. And so the DIY stuff, because it tends to get a little bit time consuming, tends to get pushed to the side. So I thought, sod it, let's do a whole week. Let's focus on it for an entire week, almost to the exclusion of all else. I'm still, of course, having to do things, but this week is going to be a focus. So once I'd made that decision to spend a week doing DIY, I thought, well, then let's do it. Let's do some of it live. Let's get together and have make it a bit of an event. That'd be nice. So here we are. Here we are on our DIY week. And it's just beginning. So I've spent like the last couple of hours trying to work out how it is that I'm going to film and live stream it. How's that going to happen? I mean, you can already see I'm over in my corner, as opposed to over by my Eurorack, which is where I normally am when I'm doing live streams. So now I'm stuffed into the corner. I've had to take an arm off my chair just so I can fit over here because there's not much room at all. But I have brought in another camera, so I've got an overhead one here. With a bit of luck, I could, if I'm clever, right, I could make this not do that. See, right, if I go into thingies, right, and go to that, do that, and have you not turn off, assuming my battery lasts, then I'll be able to be clever, right? Oh no, wait for it. It's a learning experience. Oh, it's gone. What did I do with it? Oh, gee whiz, flipping gee. So all this is, I mean, one of the reasons for doing this evening is for me to get sorted out how on earth am I going to do the live streams proper during the week. So this is all part of that. So I've got me the shortcut here, with a bit of luck, I should be able to bring in... No, that's the preview one. This one. Come on, work for me. There we go. I should be able to bring in the other camera. Now, I need to look over here to see if that worked. Yeah, that did work, but it's not going to work for you for a minute. Or at least it won't. I won't be able to see whether that worked for me in a minute. But now you should be able to see all this stuff down here, you see? Whoa! Things like that. How exciting. So with a bit of luck, we can get down and, you know, dirty in all of this. Ching ching. I need, you know, solder and iron. And you'll be able to see what I can do. See what I can do. See what I'm doing. See, there's no point me then turning and facing the camera, because my main camera, because you're now on here. So I do have another option, which is to go a little bit picture in picture. With a bit of luck, I can like do both at once, and then I've got to try to navigate where I solder stuff around the picture in picture bit. I'm just waiting for that to come up on YouTube. Oh look, there we go. So I got, yeah, see, I'm feeling a bit like Gaz now. Feeling a bit like Gaz Williams, like I got it all sorted out. See, that's brilliant. Yes, I know, fancy. It is fancy, Andrew. You'll see that this is really fancy. I've worked hard on trying to make this fancy, right? I've just got to make sure that I keep my hands a little bit... You have no idea what I've got to go through, because my preview on my overhead camera is, of course, upside down. Well, of course it is. Is there anything I can do about that? No. So trying to work this out. So where is the bit? Is it going from there? Is it going from there that I can't see? Yeah, so this bit I need to avoid. Right, okay. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'll do a bit of this. I'll do a bit of that. It will work. It won't work. We're just going to have to see how it goes. So, first of all, let me say hello to a few people. Thank you so much for joining me. There's like 70 people here, which is brilliant. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. It's going to be... Well, I'm really excited about the week. I'm thoroughly thrilled about the week. Now, I know that making videos on DIY is time consuming and takes not only the time it takes to build the thing, but then the time to edit the video down and upload that. So, for instance, I did the Bafako Perkle last week, just on Thursday and Friday, and I've still got to finish editing it. So a lot of the things I'll be making this week, I'm hoping to make things during the day this week as well as in the evening. I don't know how many I'm going to be able to fit in, but I'm just going to go and see how that goes. We can only try. We can only try, can't we? But I'll have the build of the Perkle up tomorrow with a bit of luck. I've got a couple of others just sort of bubbling away in the background that I need to finish off. They can also upload, and then I'm going to build a couple of things during the week, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what we should do is, what I was going to do was going to say hello to a few people. So thank you so much for joining me. Andrew, it's good to see you. To what? Fingers went... Yeah, sock puppets would be good. Sock puppets would be good. So, Imo, good to see you. Pete, good. Zach Lur, lovely to see you. Hello, Miami Beach. Wow. I've been on Miami Beach. I was on there once. I did this mad trip to America with my little brother when I was... it was like a week before his 21st birthday. And I was like 23 or something. And we went out there for reasons I can't explain. We went on a bit of a road trip around Florida. Ended up on my... Did we end up on Miami Beach? No, I think I might have that completely wrong. Well, it doesn't matter. It's not that interesting a story anyway. Only the fact that he was in the Navy, and as I say, he was a week shy of 21 when we went. And so he wasn't allowed to drink, even though he could drink me under the table any day of the week. But there we go. No, there's nothing wrong with the colour, Ken. I'm sure about that. Sticker on the blind spot. Yeah. Should I keep that on? I don't know. Maybe I'll go back to my first one just while I talk before we get to the soldering, because that would be nicer, wouldn't it? I think that would be nicer. So yeah. So the plan for the week then. Let's have a look at that. So tonight I'm testing out the gear. I'm testing out that I can do it. I do have something to solder, which I'll have a go at in a minute. Just making sure that I can do everything, that everything works, because it was no easy feat. I have to say. God, I don't know why I do it to myself. I could have a much easier life, I'm sure. I mean, I could just do it all on a bleeding phone, couldn't I? Anyway, we endeavour to do the best we can, and this is me doing that. So this week, tonight, yeah, just checking things out, having a look. I do a bit of soldering, then perhaps have a beer and talk about it. That might be nice. I might need to bring the chat over here, because then I'm always side on looking at you. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, maybe I didn't think about that right. I need to put that. It doesn't matter. So that's tonight. Tomorrow night, I'm taking a night off. Well, actually, I've got some kung fu to do, so I need to go and do that. So I thought that let's just have a pause before we get stuck into it. And then Tuesday night, we have the Stasis Leak from Frequency Central that I'm going to build in this environment right here, live. We're going to open the packet, dump it down here, and just get on with it. And, you know, I'll talk as I go, do things as I go, and we'll see how that pans out. Should be interesting. I've had a few comments on the kit that there's a couple of bits of weirdness going on with it. Something about leaving a leg on because of calibration. I didn't know you had to calibrate an effects unit, but that's very exciting. The other thing was that there's one of the headers was not long enough, or there's a missing pin on a header, and I've worked out what that is, or at least Frequency Central got in touch to say, yeah, don't worry, there's a bit that you don't solder it into a header, don't solder the header in, just solder it directly onto the board, and so there is enough for everything. So you just stick the DSP unit, I think it is, solder that directly on the board rather than into a socket, and then you've got plenty of room for everything. So, but these are things I have no idea what they refer to, because I haven't looked at the kit in any detail. So hopefully on Tuesday I'll get a chance just to go over it before we turn on the cameras, and then we'll just give it a go for as long as it takes. That's the plan. I mean, the Perkle that I did, which is the 2 PCBs, 10 HP wide, I think, that took about 4 hours, but that was a big one. The Stasis Leak doesn't look anywhere near that big, so I reckon a couple of hours. So we'll try to kick off at 8 o'clock, British summer time, which it still is, I think, just about. Doesn't feel like it. God, bleeding neck today. My oldest was playing soccer out at Aylsham, and it was flipping freezing. I had an umbrella and everything just to keep the wind off, but it was coming in sort of completely sideways, the rain and stuff. So yeah, that was exciting, but that was freezing. I'm still feeling freezing, and I'm still feeling a bit coldy. So there's also every chance I could lose my voice or just get terrible flu this week. But hey, we're just gonna go with it. So that's Tuesday, Frequency Central Stasis Leak. Then on Wednesday, I think I have Steve from Thonk coming to pay us a visit. He's going to drop into the live stream, and we're going to chat about, I mean, who the heck this guy is. I mean, I've not even found a photograph of him, let alone anything about what he's about. All I know is that Thonk is a store down in Brighton that sells kits and DIY stuff for Eurorack and synthesizers. Well, mostly Eurorack, I think. And it's a place I've bought tons of kits from over time. He seems like a really nice bloke, very helpful whenever I speak to him in sort of email kind of ways. So I'm going to be getting him on, meeting him for the first time, essentially, and we'll have a chat about what that's all about. I'm sure he's got lots of insight into how best to tackle Eurorack DIY, tips and tricks, and we'll just sit back and talk about it. That's the plan. But everything will have to be here, so it's not going to be in my usual comfortable way. So I'm going to have to work out how to do that. Am I going to shift everything back up? No, I'm just going to have to do it here. I'm going to have to work that out. That'll be all right. It's just going to take a bit of thought from my point of view in working out vmix and stuff. Yeah, so there's that. Then Thursday, Cosmo. Cosmo is a format. Is it invented by Sam from Look Mum No Computer? I don't know if it's actually invented by him, but it's a format that he's taken on, and he's created a whole bunch of front panels and PCBs in this format. Basically, all it is I'll grab it in a minute, is a larger version of Eurorack. So it's Eurorack, all the same rules as Eurorack. It's just made it bigger, so it's easier to use in live performance. Brilliant. So you could build a synth which is just bigger and easier to fiddle with in that kind of situation. So I fancied having a go at that. I was going to sort of leave it until I'd done and finished the Descartes Dream, but because that's just going to take another 3 or 4 years, I figured let's get it started. So we'll have a look at that on Thursday. There is a tiny possibility of Sam dropping in, but we did originally have a plan to do that, but then some things changed, so I don't know. But if not this week, then we will do it another time. Another time, Sam will come along, we'll talk about the whole project, and that would be really cool. So that's good. Then Friday, are we through to Friday now? Friday is the 3PT from Robo, which I have no idea how complex the kit is, but the presentation is just fantastic. I'm really impressed with how the kit looks and the instructions and all that kind of thing. Excellent. So that's quite exciting, and it's quite a multifunctional module, so that's also going to be interesting to see how it works and what it does. And then coming around to Saturday night, I'm going to do Deckard's Dream. I'm just going to drag the old girl out and see if I can put some things on it. I might have a go at that during the week. I might try and do some of the surface mount during the week, just to try to get through some of those voice cards, and then we can do some resistors or something like that. We're not going to finish it. It's just going to be a time to talk about it, to have a look, see how far we can get, chat about it, that kind of thing. And that's Saturday. There's a potential for doing something on Sunday night just to finish it all off. I don't know, really. I might be too exhausted, and you might be too bored by the whole thing. Don't know. So we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I mean, everything this week is open to change at last minutes for no reasons, but the plan will be 8 o'clock. We'll be here soldering something or talking to somebody, and we'll go from there. Yeah? Does that sound good? Great. I'm just going to go and turn my heater off for a moment. So talk amongst yourselves, and then we'll see where we are. Ooh. So let's have a look at a few bits, right? So let's go back to this fella. Yeah, all right. Oh, no, wait, let's just... Yeah, okay. So this is the stasis leak. From Thonk, the kit. I'm going to be doing this on Tuesday. I just thought we'd have a quick run through a few things. Frank! Yeah. Okay, so this is what it looks like for those who haven't got hold of one. If you did want to get hold of one, I mean, you could always sort of beg Thonk to send it out really quick. I mean, they are on about a week turnaround at the moment. But so here it is. It's only a couple of PCBs, and they don't look that crowded. Look, like just a row of resistors, a couple of those chunky black things, bunch of capacitors, a couple of holes over here, patch points, a couple of knobs. Yeah, it's easy, that. No problem. That's the front panel. I think that will be good. Look, the bag's not too big. Doesn't have too many scary parts in it. Yeah, I'm not too worried about that one. And I'm still on 100%. I'm still on 100% success rate with my project so far, which of course is tempting all sorts of fates, but I don't believe in fate. Do I? I don't know. Can't remember. Skulldrazer, you're very welcome to create an ever looping shirt video for me. I don't have the time. I always think that I'd have the time to do like a blooper reel or interesting funny things that happen during it, and just pull all of those out and put them together as a compilation. Who has the time for that? Who has the time? So that's a classic, if you like, Thonk kit. Come in a plastic bag. The instructions are online. You can QR it, and you're off. For comparison, here's the Robo kit. Look at the state of this. I've never seen a jiffy bag like it. Rick Holt from Frequency Central would be a good live stream guest. Yeah, maybe. See, the funny thing is that I never quite worked out where Frequency Central were. I always assumed they were American for reasons I can't. There's no reason for that. I just think in the sort of the videos that would pop up from Frequency Central, I just assumed it was an American firm. I had no idea it was British until I got sent this kit from SynthCube. So SynthCube in the States are kind of like the thonk of America, I think. I've had I bought all my Descartes Dream bits from them to start with, and they said they'd love to send me a couple of kits to make videos on, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to tackle this one this week. Yeah, they are in Coventry, exactly. So they sent me this, which is an entire synth voice. And I thought, wow, that's lovely. Oh, look, it's a Frequency Central one. And it says down here, right, Coventry, United Kingdom. And it's like, oh, I had no idea they're in Coventry. I thought they were someplace in, in Texas or something, So this kit here has been sent to me from SynthCube out in America that went all the way from Coventry over to America and then sent back to me to do a build video on. So, yeah, interesting story. But I might have a go at this. It's quite, there's lots of PCBs. It will probably take a good day, if not two. But yeah, Rick Holt's name's on here. Yeah. So it hadn't really occurred to me that Frequency Central were relatively nearby. Not that it matters for live streams at all, but it's good to make that connection. And I've also made a connection with them recently because I was talking about the stasis leak and doing that, and so bumped into each other and asked him a question about the problem that somebody pointed out about the missing part or the missing leg. So yeah, we've made a connection now, which is great. So yeah, I would very much like to do a live stream in that with Rick as well. That would be great. We'll do that at some other point. Maybe this whole week thing could be a regular occurrence. Every couple of months, do a week on it. Maybe. Don't know. Or at least I need to keep at the DIY stuff as regularly as I can. Anyway, so let's have a look at this Robo kit just briefly. I don't want to spoil everything for Friday, whenever it is that we build it. Oh, but look at all this. Look at all this. Nice. Wow, look at the LEDs. Of course, it's got a whole ring of LEDs going on. Got a knob, bit of a sort of a make noise knob, and then it's just beautifully packaged, and it's got a flipping manual. Yeah, nice. Like it a lot. They've also been in touch through this. I wasn't sort of after sponsorship or anything when I started this off. I just thought it'd be a good idea. But people are nice, and so Robo would have sent me this kit had they had any left, but they just sent them all out to Thonk, funnily enough, and other places. So I bought mine from Thonk. Bought it with my own cash, but they did send me this, which is the LL8, the little one, which is weird. Got weird stuff. But similarly, I might build this week. I'm being far too ambitious on what it is I'm actually going to be able to complete, I think. But, you've got to give it a go, haven't you? Got to give it a go. So yeah, I might give that a go. I don't know yet, but I will obviously give it a go at some point. So that's those two. Oh, the other thing I wanted to look at quickly was, so this right? This is the Cosmo stuff. Maybe I'll go back to my first screen for this. This stuff, right? This big bag of nonsense. Now, the concept, feels like that's a little bit bent. Not going to worry about it. The concept, right, is that this is a Eurorack module, but it's big. It's big. Big knobs, lots of space, proper jack sockets, all that kind of thing. Very exciting. And this is an oscillator, a VCO, that's designed as far as I know, by Look Mum No Computer Guy. I mean, obviously he's taken the designs from other places, but this is all his artwork on the front and on the back, which is lovely, and it's just a great groovy idea, and he's got enough modules now to essentially build a synth. So I've got a couple of these. I'm going to build 2 so I can run 2 oscillators together for a bit of detuning and fattening up the sound. I've got a filter, VCA, LFO, envelope, that kind of thing, and I'm going to give them a go, but I'm going to start off with this. Now, the reason for the big bag of stuff is simply because I'm lazy and disorganized and I don't know what I'm doing. So the bit of materials that comes with the Cosmo stuff gives you links to where you can buy all of the components that you need, but all the links go to a shop where you have to buy in quantity. You can't buy individual resistors, you can't buy individual much at all. So I've had to buy lots more of things than I actually need. Some of them you can buy individuals, but there was a whole load of things that I had to get. And because I didn't really give it enough time, what I should have done, I should have gone through the BOM and identified exactly what I needed, and then created a Mouser thing, or something on Farnell or RSS or something like that, and methodically and slowly gone through everything that I needed. But I just didn't have the time. I needed to kind of get it done and get it in before this week turned up. So I've just thrown myself at it, sort of clicked on all the links, bought everything, and so I've ended up with 50 times more than I need. It's like the resistors. This, I bought like a gazillion resistors from China off eBay, following the link that they sent me, and they just send you like 100 of every type of resistor. So, so I have a bunch of resistors. That's great. Yeah. Oh, I should point out as well, this thing here. See, this is an illusion. These things here, these blue boxes, you see them in lots of people's videos, and it absolutely makes this look like a DIY corner, and that's brilliant for that. But I can tell you that these are full of rubbish. They are full of absolute crap. There's nothing in here of any use. I mean, I've got some MIDI cables here. I've got another pair of safety specs, masking tape. You know, I've got some old bits of RAM in there, my old solder sucker, but they're not full of anything useful. So don't for a moment think that I'm sitting here next to a perfectly organized rack of like capacitors here, resistors here, ICs here, that kind of thing. No. It's just for storing crap. I mean, in the bottom ones down here, it's just full of PC screws, you know, hard drive screws. Just I've got a gazillion of them that I can't, for some reason, I can't bear to part with. but there you are. So don't get fooled. Don't get fooled by this. Okay, it's just I don't know what else to do with it, and perhaps at some point things like this will end up in it. I'd like to think so. So yeah, so this is the Cosmo thing, and I'll go into a lot more detail on that, of course, on Thursday, and we'll attempt to build one. Will we get it done? I have no clue. I have no clue. I don't know how easy it is, because the way Sam does stuff, he knows what he's talking about, and I don't. And the problem with moving to something like Cosmo is I'm going to have to start knowing what I'm talking about, and that's a bit worrying. That's a bit worrying. Because up until now, I mean, building kits, right? If you're looking at this and you're a beginner and you're looking for, you know, enthusiasm and encouragement, then building kits is actually easy. It's just a process of soldering. You just need some solder, and you need a soldering iron, and you're off. That's it. You solder stuff, and you don't have to know anything about it. You don't have to know what the resistors are doing, what the capacitors are doing. You do have to know which way around to put the diodes in, but all these things you are told. So just with a bit of methodical thinking, some careful soldering, you can build any kit. I mean, I'm building a Descartes Dream and I don't know the first thing about it. And that is at the same time awesome while being slightly troubling, because it would be nice to learn more about it as I'm doing it. And I don't know that I have. Now, I say that, I mean, I've learned a lot more than not doing it, of course. Excuse me. And there are certainly things that I have learned that I wouldn't have otherwise known. Most certainly. And that sort of knowledge is starting to build a bit. But I still don't know how to design a filter. I still don't know what components are involved in a VCA. All of those simple things that one is supposed to know, I don't. I'm just building kits and I'm enjoying the putting together of stuff without understanding what any of it is. But when Cosmo comes along, I'm going to have to start making choices, because Sam says weird things like, oh, well, you know, you can put this one in if you like, or if you don't want to use that capacitor, don't bother. Or if you prefer it to sound slightly more something, use something else. And I'm going, what are you talking about? What do you mean I have choices? I can choose the size of resistor and that has an effect on something? Well, of course it does, but I don't know what that is. And so learning those sorts of things, understanding that is going to be great, but I don't know how to learn it. I don't know who's going to tell me. Are these things that I'm going to discover during the making of it? Or are they things I'm going to have to spend looking up? I mean, maybe Thursday night when we're doing it, I'm going to spend my whole time researching it on the internet. I don't know. I hope not. But yeah, interesting. Hopefully all of these things will become clear and it will start pushing me down a deeper line of learning. But at the moment, kits, baby. That's where it is. You don't need to know nothing. You just build a kit. Easy. So before we go into some simple soldering, let me just show you a few other kits that I've got. I got this, let me, oh no, they're here. No, they're here. Let's go for that one again. So down here, I got this. This is another Bafako one that they sent me, and I really don't know what it is. And I'm pretty sure that I've pilfered a couple of resistors out of here for another thing. But I've got loads of resistors, so that's not a problem. So it's some... Hang on, let me find the front panel. Here we go. That'll tell me what it is. Are you still talking about my shirt over there? Yeah, I used to tie dye. I mean, I used to be like... I don't know what you'd call me, a state. I used to be a kind of a hippie hippie goth, I suppose, would be my my vibe. You know, I would either fall into, well, I'd come out of grunge, I suppose, and then go into darker stuff, and then back out into folk. So I went very hippie over my folk period, and then back in a bit sort of gothy, harder sort of MTV2 stuff, and then I don't know where I am now. All I know is that I did end up cutting my hair eventually, but I expressed myself through my shirts a bit. I mean, it's fairly mild, really, but you'll be surprised on how crazy the world goes about it just because I might have a flower on my shirt. It's nuts, really, isn't it? I mean, I used to have kind of coloured hair, you know, red and purple hair. I mean, this is nothing, man. Nothing. Anyway, so back to this. So yeah, this is a sampling modulator. I have no clue what that is or what that does. So I have that. But yeah, because I don't have any clue about it, I'm not particularly thinking I want to do that one specifically. You know, certainly if I ever find the time, but I'm not going, oh yeah, must do that one, because I don't really know what it's about. I'm not going to put that back in there, so I'm going to chip something. So that's a maybe. That's a definite maybe. I've got another one from SynthCube, which I will be doing because they were kind enough to send it to me. But this, I don't know what this is either. This is a Phonitronic triple Vactral resonator. I don't have any idea what that does, but it's interesting. Definitely going to give that a go. Yeah. If anybody knows what that is. Oh, look, Andrew, he has the sampling modulator. Kind of a cocky stepped sample and hold module, but can act as a really cocky oscillator. Do you mean cocky as in it's a little bit overconfident, or do you mean cocky as in it's a bit sort of on a skew? So yeah, if anybody knows what that is, tell me all about it, but I'll discover it through the making of it. So yeah, definitely going to be doing that one. Not necessarily this week, but I will be doing it. What else have I got? Oh, now this is a very, very sad one, this one, because this is one of the first kits I got, and it's the Ginkgo synths sample slicer. Now they did this on Kickstarter, like 2 years ago, and I thought, oh wow, I really should get into DIY, and I fancied a bit of a sampler type thing. I thought that could be interesting for things. So I don't have anything like that in my rack at all. But I bought it before really I'd done any DIY, so I then decided to do something like the touring machine, something a bit easier, something a bit more straightforward, and so got on with doing that. And I haven't really found my way back to this, and I would very much like to. So I would like to give this a go this week, but see, that's already far too many kits this week I'm having a go at. So, but this one is something which I really feel sad that I haven't had a go at it yet. And I mean, in terms of making a video of the build, it's kind of a bit late because it's now an old module and he probably has a new one out. I don't know. But there we go. I can only do what I do. So I'd quite like, quite like to do that. So in my head, I'm thinking this one. So I'm talking about during the day when I'm doing this myself as opposed to the live streaming. So that one, probably the LL8. No. This one and the big frequency central one maybe. Oh, I don't know. Oh, there's more. This was the second kit I bought. So this again is a year or so old because I wanted a low pass gate. And this is Aperture from RYO, which I believe is what this is. So that's probably more achievable this week. So I might have a go at that. I don't know. Maybe this and the I don't know. That and the sample slicer. What's that? Oh yeah. And I've also got the ADS Art of Finish from Infinite Machinery. Because I did the surface mount on that in my getting started video. So I might finish that off. Because that's definitely achievable. And the one last little thing is this here. Now, you weren't expecting that, were you? What is this, I hear you say? Yeah, what is it? Indeed. Well, let me unravel it for you. It's beautifully wrapped. Look at that. That's just a lovely thing. Now, this is in from India. This was a little Indiegogo thing I decided to support because it just looked like a nice bloke doing his thing. Lovely braided USB cable. And this comes with an Arduino ready to go. And it's a little kit. And it's called, look, they all come individually wrapped. Something's leaked a little bit. And this is called 8 knobs. And it's a MIDI controller. It's a little MIDI controller. 8 knobs, just controls MIDI, I think. Yeah, see, not much to it. Well, at least on this board, I think there's a lot more to it inside. But it just puts 8 knobs on the top and it's a bit of a MIDI thing. So I thought that was nice. That cost like $10 or something. And I thought that was lovely. So it came in a lovely bag. I might give that a go. Don't know. I think I've probably got more pressing things to do, but that's going to be a nice little thing. Maybe this is sort of the sort of thing I'll do with one of my kids. Because I have done a soldering project with my oldest, and that's a video I hope to finish this week as well, because we did it and then we just didn't quite finish off the video. The other problem with it being that it was a video that I was editing in Vegas, which now no longer works on my computer for reasons I can't explain. So I'm going to have to somehow get that to work. So that is my range, I think, of kits at the moment. So what will I do during the week? I think the sample slicer, the RYO, and maybe the little 8. Maybe I'll start with the sample slicer because that's the one I'd really like to get done. But then I don't know if I'll finish it. Oh, it's tricky, isn't it? Tricky. So let's have a little look at the chat, see what you're saying, and why don't we have some questions before. What we'll do is I've got this here from Eurorack Essentials, and I'll do a little bit of soldering just for fun, just to make sure that this is working, everyone can see it all right, and all those sorts of things. So we'll do that, but I'll pause for a moment beautifully wrapped again, and just see if we have any questions on here. So if you've got a question, quick, throw it in now, and then I'll do some soldering, and then we'll finish with some questions, and I can finish and I can drink my beer, which will be more important, I think. There's months worth there, says Irrational Recreation. Yes, probably. So, all right then, if you're trying to be real about it. So the RYO, this one here, the RYO, that I could build in a morning, I think. That's only got, is a PCB and a half. I could do that in a morning. No problem. So that's Monday, right? Probably get it online by Tuesday because of the amount of editing required. But I reckon I could do that in a morning. So that could be done. That's like a day's worth. The sample slicer. I mean, this looks like a similar size to the Perkle. And the Perkle took me about 4 or 5 hours, I think. So I reckon this would be a 4 or 5 hour job. Maybe. So that's a day. So I could build those two. I could build those two this week, I think. I think that would be all right. The larger synth from SynthCube, probably not. That'll probably take a couple of days. Yeah. I don't know. I'm going to have to see. So, yeah, and the Stasis League I'm hoping to do in a couple of hours, and the Robo one hoping to do in a couple of hours. On the Tuesday night and the Friday night is the plan. So, yes. I'm not intending to get all of them done. Not in the slightest. Okay, so it's going to take forever. No, it's not. It's going to be fine. Honestly, it's going to be fine. And if it takes forever, it takes forever. Yeah, what else have you got to do, eh? So Zach Lure says, I've only ever used lead-free solder before, but after persuasion from me, you've got a roll of leaded solder on your desk. Always wash your hands. Now, I certainly didn't recommend leaded solder to anybody ever. No, that's a lie. Because certainly for your own health, you should be using lead-free solder. And also for your own health, you shouldn't really turn the soldering iron on because it's dangerous. It gets hot and that could be bad for you. So it's probably best not to attempt this. But yeah, I mean, the whole lead-free lead thing, people have really strong opinions on it, which is fine. And you're allowed to, particularly if you work in the industry, because that's going to be very important to you. For someone like me, I simply, do you have any lead-free stuff knocking around anymore? I don't know that I do. No, I think I used it all up. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I mean, from my point of view, very, very simply, I started off with lead-free solder and soldered a project, and it was okay, and it was quite hard, but I expected it to be hard because it was the first time I'd done soldering for like 30 years. So, you know, doing it, that was fine. And then I struggled through another one. Yeah, that was fine. Then my soldering iron blew up, so I had to get another one. And eventually I got a proper one, and that again helped things no end. But when I actually got hold of some leaded solder, because other people were recommending it, suddenly everything was flowing much, much better. So all I can share really is my experience, which is that lead-free solder, in my experience, requires a higher temperature, which if you don't have a soldering iron with a temperature gauge, is difficult, because you just have to work with how hot the soldering iron is, and that's what I had to start with. So it just everything takes longer and it feels clunky. Whereas with leaded solder, it melts at a lower temperature, it flows really well, looks nice and shiny, and just works. I mean, obviously there's reasons why we have lead-free solder, because lead is poisonous. And I also saw a video the other day of a guy talking about how modern lead-free solder is far, far better than stuff from a couple of years ago. So they've made a couple of real advances in lead-free solder to make it work and flow much more like leaded. So, you know, these things are up for debate, I think. But from my point of view, the lead stuff works well. It's, you know, I buy some quite expensive solder probably, but I found this particular stuff purely by chance, I suppose, not by, you know, just trying to find the right thing, which is hard. But I bought this. It worked really, really well, like first time. And so I'm sticking with this forever. And it's like 15 quid for this. It's not cheap, but just because it works and it does the job, that's what I want to stay with. I don't want to spend my time messing about trying to find the right sort of solder. Okay. Super soldering tip, says Frank. Use Qualtech tip tinning compound. Makes the solder run really nicely onto the components. Okay, well, there's a tip. I mean, the solder seems to run nicely onto the components already, so I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure of the advantage of that necessarily. I don't know. You see, you don't know unless you've used these things. So I don't know about that, but thanks for the tip. Alan says he always uses lead-free and a crappy soldering iron and it works fine. Cool, absolutely. Barney says he can't get the lead-free to work. Yeah. Infinite Machinery blinds us with a little bit of jiggery pokery, saying that lead-free solder also requires a proper pad composition, such as ink. So I have no clue what that means, but that's very exciting. Yeah, so Dusty, I had the same experience. Are demos of the modules included in the week? What if I finish it, then I'll plug the thing in and make it work. So yeah, I mean, at the end of every soldering video I do, I plug the thing in, make sure it's working, and do a quick, oh, this is my first look at what the heck this thing does. And then if it's interesting enough, I'll do a whole video on that at another point. So like, excuse me, like the Perkle, I'm definitely doing a proper video review of that because it's fantastic. Excuse me, I do not want to lose my voice this week. I can feel it already. I'm a bit coldy, a little bit coldy this week. Learning how to use flux helped too. Yeah, maybe. This solder has got a whole stack of flux built into it. And again, as I say, it seems to work. So I'm not going to try to overcomplicate things by introducing more compounds or more things. If it works, I'm just going to kind of go with it. Gold, says Infinite Machinery. Gold. Oh, yeah, anyway. Where's your fan? Ah, where's my fan? So I got a new fan, which is now snuck away in here. Can I get that out? No. So I got a new fan. Can you see that here? Yeah, you can see it. It's here. You can just about see that. I decided to get another one because the little one I had, which is miraculously vanished. I don't know. What do I do with that? Oh, it's here. This sort of thing is good. Yeah, it was good enough. It's just that trying to get it at the right angle I found really difficult. And also it was blowing this way, which was troubling my microphone. And it's like I wasn't able to mount it anywhere else. Couldn't work that out. So I thought, sod it, I'll try to pick up another one. So I did. I got this big chunky thing here, which is plugged in, and I probably can't be bothered to turn it on right now. There we go. Oh no, I will. There we go. And that's now blowing this way, so it's not blowing into the microphone. The only downside is it's now blowing the fumes against the wall as opposed to out into the shed. But I don't know. As long as it's not going directly out my nose, then that's a win as far as I'm concerned. The fans are in the chat. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, like it. So, what app do I use to edit my videos? What app? I edit now in DaVinci Resolve. I used to use Vegas. I've been a long time, like a decade user of Sony Vegas, Magix Vegas. But since my last computer, it just was not really working right, and it's got to the point that it frustrated me so much that, I mean, I keep making allowances for it because it crashes all the time. It just crashes all the time. And you get around that because I'm constantly saving. Oh, it's crashed. You know, load it up again. Off we go. Oh, it's crashed. Off we go. And, you know, whenever I'm doing a project, it would crash. you know, 3 or 4 times during a project. At some points it would just get ridiculous. It's crashing every 5 minutes. There's some bits in it that I particularly like and I've struggled with in Resolve, but DaVinci Resolve has crashed maybe once or twice in the whole time I've been using it, and it's been a couple of months. And there's bits in it which are just fantastic, which save me a load of time. And there's a few bits that it does which are a bit kind of, oh, why does it take so long to do that? Or why can't you save a preset anywhere in anything? And of course everyone says, oh no, you can, because you can put it into Fusion, and then you can build a Fusion object, and then you can export that object as a LUT or something, and then that goes into something else. It's like, what are you talking about? I just want to save this bunch of settings. That's all. I don't want to create some kind of thing. Can I just have these settings, like see these settings over here that I've just applied to this video? Can I apply those to a different clip? That's all I want to do. And no, that's incredibly hard in DaVinci Resolve. And that was in Vegas incredibly easy. So it's interesting. But I'm now using Resolve, and I'm enjoying that for the most part. How to correctly orient components. Well, you just keep turning it around till it's the right way up. Right, so what I'll do then, because I could do with having my beer and get into bed, let's unravel this and see what it's about. Now this is from Eurorack Essentials, as I say. They sent it to me for Super Booth to do some a video on. I did a video on a switch of theirs. I didn't get around to doing this one, and this is a similar idea. It's a dual switch where they really Eurorack Essentials are really into their switching things. So you put 2 things in here and it comes out the other side back to front. So if you're going through stereo effects, that can completely change something. Or, oh, I don't know, put one thing in here and it goes in one and then comes out the other one, you know. So you can switch between 2 different destinations. But the point of this one is it's simple, I think. It's passive, so I can just build it now to test the idea of soldering here. Of course, I'm doing this under the camera, and you can't see it because I haven't swapped the camera. And precisely to teach me to do things like that better. You see? You see? So I'll try to pay special attention to orientation in this particular thing. So let's have a look in here. In fact, I'm just going to put on the overhead because you don't need to see the side of me. I'm not going to do any. I'm not going to do any asides like I just have. You see, that's the plan. So how do I get into this? Okay. So in here, I got this little fella. Nice. Flip sides. Cut PCB here to replace dual switch. What? Do what with it? Oh, maybe this was a mistake. I don't know. Let's put that down there for the minute. Well, there's not a whole lot going on there. Now, these are really nice little packets of stuff. I like it. So I've got some of those with nuts. There's the switch. Okay. So that is an entire paper bag, right, for 2 knurlies. Just genius. Genius. And what's in here? I think it's just stickers. Let's have a look. Yeah. That's just some stickers. There we go. Eurorack Essentials. I don't quite know which way up you're watching this. You're watching it this way up, aren't you? Yeah, yeah. Okay, so don't need those. So there is nothing to go on here. I'm sorry, I thought it might take a little bit longer, but they've just got this on there and those on. That's it. Cool, right, so let's do it, man. Let's do it. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now with this, there's not a whole lot to say. It can only go one way round, as so often with these sorts of components. They're not symmetrical, so they can only really fit in one way, like that. This the same. So this is going to be a very short thing, but never mind. That's the idea. Just putting those in there. I've got no instructions on it. There probably are some online, but this seems simple enough. I'm just going to go with it. So there we go. Nice and easy. What I might do is I might put this. If I put, yeah, I'm going to put this over the top, like so. Just to keep them flat. Oop. So if I put the screws on, am I needing to do this? I might be overthinking it. I haven't even started with the beer. Oh dear, with the beer yet. Fat fingers, that's the problem. Now, of course, all you kids out there are going to have proper vices and stuff in order to hold it together. Put the switch in first. See, now if I do that, if I put the switch in first, I'm then not going to be able to turn it upside down to solder it, am I? See? Because now as it is, cool, bleed neck. He's such a professional. Right. Go on, get on there, you git. Maybe I should just get into the beer. Alright, that's it. That's it. See, if I put the switch in, then I'll turn it upside down and the thing will poke up like that and then rock from side to side and fall over. I don't want to do that. I will undo the front panel in a minute. I've just put those bits on there to secure it so they don't go in wonky. So what I've got is 4 bits on each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't quite understand. Anyway, I'm just going to solder together. All right, got it? Yeah, I try to avoid this shiny spot there. I think it looks okay. Does that look all right to you? Oh, look, Mark's just turned up for the money shot. So, what am I going to do? So I've got, just going to put a little bit of water into my sponge. Just a little bit. So people give you lots of advice on how to solder things. Just going to clean that off with a bit of that. I jam it into there. I jam it into there. Potentially put a bit of solder on the end or something, and put it in there again. See if it looks a bit silvery. As long as it's not black, that's the important thing. If it's black, then jam it in things. Now you can't see me jamming it in stuff over there, can you? There we go. I'm just jamming it in there. A little bit of that. A little bit of that. Yeah? Got it? Got it. Good. Keep it damp, not wet. Why? Why? Why damp, not wet? So I've now got a soldering iron that's a bit soldery. I've got me fan on that should hopefully blow away stuff. The shirt is red hot. Don't worry about the shirt. And then I'm going to present the soldering iron See, I was less self-conscious about this when I did it in that big video. Go and watch the long video if you really want to know. So I'm going to heat something up like that, and I'm going to put as much of the soldering iron on it as I possibly can. Have I throttled down the scrimming flange? No, I haven't. That's at full whack at the moment. You want me to zoom in? So let me do one at this rate. Now I tend to push too hard on things, but don't, just go with it, okay? And as I said, people may have a vice, and that's fine. Use a vice, that's great. I'm just getting kind of stuck in with where I am. And with a bit of luck, that would have heated up enough for me to push with the solder. No, it's not working. All right, so what I need to do, that's on, isn't it? First of all, I need to find my safety specs. And because my eyes are going, I need to find my these things here, so I can see a little bit closer. So I can zoom in a little bit like that. That's all. If that's good with you. So let me try that again. If I don't talk about it, if I just actually put my soldering iron against something like that. Okay, see that's starting to go. Look at that, I soldered something. Now my fan is not really working at this point. I might need to readjust. That's over here a little bit. I might need to do a little bit of adjustment on that. So all I'm doing, I mean, you know, I'm not trying to teach anybody to suck eggs or anything, but I'm assuming that there's some people here who haven't done this before and are looking for guidance. And the only guidance I can give is what I do. So I put the iron next to the thing I'm trying to solder, and I've tried to, rather than just putting the tip on it, I've tried to put a bit more of an edge to it to give it as much surface area of the iron as possible. And then I've pushed, once it's heated up enough, the solder against it. And I tend to use more solder than I probably need, but you know, one of the problems I have is when troubleshooting, it's usually because I haven't soldered anything quite enough. So I tend to overdo it a little bit. Oh, is that the perfect amount? Thanks very much. So these are quite big legs, which is why it's taking a little bit of time, but just with a little bit of time, it works nicely. So I'm going to go at this one here. Have a go at that one. Heating it up. Now if the solder doesn't melt immediately, you can adjust the soldering iron a little bit so there's more contact and more heat. Take away the solder first, take away the soldering iron. It's getting a little bit of black on the end, so I've just given it a wipe. Have a go at this bit here. Yeah, it's just beautiful. See, I'm deliberately doing this slowly, so it's heating up before I present the solder. Usually, I'm a lot more impatient, so I'm trying to make it happen quicker. So I'm going to carry on doing these outside bits, I think. You see that there? Move this up a little bit. So I'm heating it up, heating it up, heating it up. Solder in. Beautiful, lots of smoke. Solder iron off afterwards. Because I mean, I find that your solder goes in. I mean, sometimes you hit the soldering iron and the solder just sort of gloips up here. So you leave your soldering iron on, and then it starts to flow around the pad and everywhere else. It's a wonderful thing. Is that 0.5? It's 0.7, I think. Yeah, 0.7 millimeter is the solder. Where did I get to? Okay, here, this one. Ooh. Ah. See, it's a bit globby, and then I let go, and it sorts itself out. It's just a marvellous thing. I mean, how on earth did somebody come up with this business? That's good. There we go, see? That started off a bit globby. Got a little bit too much on the end. Get rid of that. Of course, my sponge isn't like soaked. It is just, you know, damp. Yeah, thin solder's good. Now, I've only done the outside bit so far. But that's all looking quite good, quite straight. And I've still got the legs in the middle to do, which are big, round, circular holes that take a little bit of filling. But anyway, let's get on with it, because I want to, get on with my life. So let's get in there. So that's going to take probably a bit more of the old. I don't know. I mean, why do they have to, holes have to be quite so big? Have I got to fill the whole hole? I suppose I have. Just jam it in there. There it goes. Did you see that? Isn't that extraordinary? And there. Jam it in. I'm using about an inch at a time, I expect, in this particular point. I mean, that is the one thing about using thin solder, is you do have to push it in quite a lot. Fantastic. Definitely going to have to adjust the fan a little bit. It's not quite doing it. Good, good, good. So the point is, you're not trying to push the solder onto the soldering iron, you're trying to push it onto the heated up leg or the heated up pad. That's really the idea. But of course, you do end up pushing it onto the soldering iron as well. That does happen, and that's not terrible. It's only terrible if you haven't heated anything else up. But if you have heated the pad and heated the circle or heated the leg, then it's going to flow from the soldering iron onto that as well. With a bit of luck, just like that. That's just brilliant. I don't mean I'm brilliant, I mean it's just extraordinary how it works. So, there we go. Let me bring that back out for a second. So that's those 4 patch things put in. Now I need to do this switch, which I'm going to have to take the front panel off again. That's okay. That's going to go in there, but the other way up, obviously. So just to take these bits off. Really thick front panel, this. Quite amazing. Probably going to stick out from my rack. I think quite alarmingly. Does the other one do that? Don't know where that is in a minute. So there's my 4 patch sockets, looking lovely. There's some business here that I don't know about. That says in 2, in 1, in and out. I don't know. No, that's out. Okay. Cut here to replace dual switch. So I guess, so the idea is that you can use this, or perhaps you I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know why there would be an extra bit here. Maybe you use a different sort of, maybe you use a button or something. I don't know. I have no clue. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to go with what we have. So I need to solder this on here. How am I going to do that? I don't know really. Put this back on again. Now that has a nut, but it's around itself, so maybe you see, because the other ones are on now, that's going to hold in place. That's going to be what I need to do. So I'll take that off, put this in here. Now I don't believe this has any particular orientation. It looks the same whichever way you look at it, as far as I can tell. It's only switching one side to the other. So it doesn't matter which way up it goes. It just means it's going to be up and down a different way, one side or the other. I recommend Tip Tinner solder paste. Great stuff. Somebody says, Mark says, yeah. I don't know, it sounds to, you know, that sort of thing just sounds to me like another thing to have. And I have enough stuff, you know. I don't want to have another thing I have to paste on or stick on or whatever. See that has a little bit of gap in it. Right, so let's talk about that in a moment. But yeah, I've got solder, I've got a soldering iron. I don't really want to make it any more complicated. If there was something that wasn't working, you know, I wasn't able to do it, then I would understand why I would need something more. But as far as I can work out, the soldering's going okay. Double pole, double throw toggle can go either way. See, look, I do know some of the terminology, man. I do. Will the top screw off? What top? So yeah, I'm putting all these back on, right? Now, what I'm trying to do here is you see this. You see it's got some give, some room for it. Now I don't have an extra nut because sometimes you'll find that you'll get a couple of nuts with something like a switch or a pot where you have one that goes underneath and one that goes on top. But this only came with the one. So because of that, I'm going to put the nut on to pull this up so it's fixed nice and firm to the front panel. Because if I don't, then it's going to potentially wobble on these legs, which could break the solder. So I'm going to want this flush up with the front panel and then solder these, which are not quite touching, but then when I move the switch, all the energy, force, whatever, is being held with the screw that's here, whereas when it's down like that, that's not going to be quite the same. So I want it. Does that make sense? I think I'm making sense, and there seems to be room enough on those legs to have it up like that. Oh, Breck here, thank you. Ordered the nifty case. Wondering if it's MIDI. If it's MIDI, works with the Korg SQ1, but the Korg SQ1 is CV, isn't it? So would that matter? But yeah, I mean, it's got MIDI in. It's got MIDI in, and it gives you two CVs and 2 gates, I think. So I don't see why it wouldn't. So anyway, so I'm putting this nut on here. And that's now screwed fairly tight. So that's going to work. And now I've just got to solder these legs, which is not completely flat against the PCB because of the decisions that I have made. Because it's mine. See, I'm building it, so I can build it however I like. Yeah? That's the plan. Now, of course, to set that there, that's going to fall over. If I'm not careful. I'm just going to have to see how that goes. Right, so let's zoom in again. It's for fun. So, yeah. So again, I'm going to heat a bit up. Now these are quite big, so I'm going to go in a little bit sideways to get the side of the soldering iron against the pin to cover, to touch as much of it as I can, really. Oh, look, that just goes on lovely. Goes on lovely. Oh, it's just such a fabulous thing. Let's go hold on to that one for a minute. Push that in. Lovely. Now I know that the end of my soldering iron has gone a little bit black around the edges, but while it's still working, I'm going to go with it, and it's still working. Look at that. My hands weren't even shaking or anything. So that seems to be in. Now I'm going to just absolutely assume that it works because I don't have the time or energy to plug it into anything right now, so I've got nothing else switched on. So that's going to be like too much effort. but I just need to check that that all soldered. Looks like it does. Looks like it did. So there you go. We built a little Eurorack module. What a cutie, eh? Maybe we'll put this up as a raffle or something at the end. I don't mean tonight, I mean of the whole lot. I don't know. Cool. Right, so there we go. Oh, no, wrong way. This way. Let's go back over here. So yeah, that was that. So now I'm no longer going to hurt myself. I can have a little drink and we can just sort of spend 10 minutes finishing off and see if there's any more questions. Oh look, see, all the viewers are coming. Oh, they've all come to watch me pour beer badly. That's just brilliant. Right, so how did we do? I mean, was that all right? Does that all make sense? Is there anybody out there who's very new to this, who's hoping to learn from my masses of experience? Nellies are always good. I've got a box for those somewhere. That's just going to have to sit there for a minute. But yeah, I mean, this is the plan. I mean, the building of the stasis leak, which I'm going to be doing on Tuesday, is no harder than what I've just done here. It's the same thing over and over again. That's why it's awfully meditative. That's why it's about getting into a space. It's about mindfulness. It's about, I mean, I know people do this for a job. That's fine. Doing it for a job, that's a different experience to doing it as a bit of a hobby. Because the way I find it, I do it, is that it's quite relaxing. Not entirely relaxing, because I'm also sort of a little bit hunched and tense and trying to do things right and focused and concentrated. But you're spending, you know, an amount of time, a length of time you're giving over to focusing so tightly on one particular thing, which in the current world, in the way that I usually access things, the way that I usually work, I have 50 things going on at once that I'm trying to get a hold of, get a handle on, trying to understand, trying to comprehend. And so just focusing on a single task like this, it kind of resets your brain. It just lines everything up in your head. So you just go, ooh, down to this single thing. And spending a few hours doing that, I think is fantastic. Oh, it might do your shoulders and your back and everything else. But it's just such a nice, straightforward thing to do. Yeah, soldering is zen, says Martin. He's absolutely right. And it's just a little kit, you know. I mean, there's no terrible things aren't likely to happen. I mean, of course, it might not work at the end, and that would be a shame. But there's a little bit of troubleshooting you can do to get around most problems. And if that doesn't work, well, then we just put it down to experience. But hopefully, the process is the same. You're heating something up, and you're putting solder on it. That's about it. And the thing that you learn along the way is how little to put on and how much to put on, things like that. And also getting it wrong and solder sucking or using that weird braidy stuff that people like to use. Those sorts of things. You'll learn those along the way through doing, you know. The smell of rosin, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've already printed out my QR code. If you all want to scan yourselves in to Molten Music Technology, you are welcome to do so. And then we can just stay hidden in our little spaces making little Eurorack modules. You don't have to go out. You don't have to socialise. You don't have to be within any distance of anybody. You can just make little modules. Get yourself a little bit queasy on the smell of flux. And hopefully come out with something nice at the other end. Yeah. And yes, I have left soldering irons on overnight. Yes, that's not a good thing to do. You can do it. It's not necessarily going to burn your house down, you know, assuming that you have it in a holder that's going to hold it off things. But yes, I've done that. It's not clever. One of the things I like about having a soldering iron with a display is the fact that I can tell that it's on at a glance, you know, and so it reminds me to turn it off, which I'm going to do so now. I don't have a multimeter or an oscilloscope. Do you have to troubleshoot? Do you not have to troubleshoot? I do have a multimeter. It's in here. There we go. I'm not great with it. I like the beepy thing. You know, the thing that goes beep. Is it that one? No. I thought it was that one. Oh, there we go. I like that. I understand that. If I'm trying to see if does that actually connect to that. Yeah, that's really useful. For measuring resistance, that can be useful. It can also be kind of a false positive in a way, because you're trying to get this on two ends of a resistor, and if it's in the circuit, that's troublesome because it can't be affected by the resistance of other things around it. If it's on your desk, you've got to make sure you get, you know, it can just be a little bit. I did look into getting. You can get these little things off eBay that are just little boards. You plug in components and it tells you what it is. Those sorts of things look incredibly useful. I just haven't quite gotten around to it yet. But generally speaking, I believe the rings that are on it, that seems to work, or the labeling that's on it. So I don't have a great deal of use for that. Although when calibrating things, then it certainly comes into use. So for instance, with the stasis leak, somebody said you've got to calibrate this for some reason. And so a multimeter might be one of those things that you need. It's a useful tool to have, I suppose, knocking around the house. So worth your 20 quid off Amazon or whatever in order to purchase one. So yeah, I would use that. I don't have an oscilloscope particularly. I've got the O-Tool thing, losing my mind. I've got a Eurorack module which has got a scope on it, so I use that if I need to check voltages and things like that. So yeah, I do have those things knocking around. I don't have a big oscilloscope. I don't have a big posh multimeter. Just simple things to try to get done what you need, I would say. Yeah, a little component tester seems like a useful thing to have. As I say, I just haven't gotten around to it. Yeah, look after your stuff. Don't burn your house down would be my advice. Do I ever use flux remover? No, I don't. I have seen videos of people washing their PCBs, and I find that frightening. Now, in my solder, one of the things it says is that it is... Now, before people jump in, I know people will jump in. Oh, maybe it doesn't say. I don't know. I thought the solder says somewhere that it's you don't need to clean it. No additional flux is required. Oh, I don't know. I was pretty sure it was called no clean flux or something like that, where you don't actually need to clean it off. Now, the idea of that, as my understanding is, that the flux that's in the solder, or that you may apply separately, but the flux from my point of view is in the solder, and that's enough. I just demonstrated that it was enough by soldering this, and that working really nicely. So that's enough for me. Now, there is flux left. I bring this up. You should be able to see the discoloration around here, the brown sort of stuff, and that is flux. Same around here. Now, over the course of like a couple of 100 years, that will eat through the PCB and potentially break it. But for my purposes in Eurorack, for as long as I'm going to be living, I really don't think this is a problem. I mean, I've talked about it with people on the Decard's Dream, because that's a bit more of a large thing. You're using a lot of solder on there. And people mostly say, well, no, you don't really need to. I mean, you can, of course. I mean, certainly if you're repairing some vintage piece of equipment, then cleaning off the flux is one of the good things to do, just to make sure that that's not having a detrimental effect to the board. But I don't really believe a little bit of flux from this sort of soldering is going to eat through your board. I just don't see it. And if you're using the sort of solder which says that it's you don't need to clean it, then believe that. Why not believe what they say? That's it's not a good idea to me, because the act of cleaning it, you've got to get a toothbrush in there, you've got to get some kind of solvents, and that's just a whole other thing, you know. For me personally, I don't if you want to do that, that's cool, that's excellent, you do that. But for me, I'm just not that bothered. So there you go. Of course, you'll probably watch videos that say it's absolutely essential. That's fine, but you won't see me doing that. Okay, so anything else? Yeah, Skulldrazer says he throws his PCBs in the laundry. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, there's also the element of making it look clean. Sure, but I'm not planning to show my PCBs to anyone other than the entire world on the internet. So I'm just not that fussed. Just not that fussed. 70% IPA is a better solvent than 99% because of chemistry and science reasons, apparently. Okay. Anyone use any module that has buttons or control surface to send out a trigger? Yeah. The Sound Machines LS1, I've got a light strip thing that you can tap on, and that sends out triggers. All sorts of things like that. Okay. Well, I think that'll probably do us. I mean, that's an hour and a half. That's plenty, I think, for this evening. So just to recap, I haven't said it often enough. The plan is then, so tomorrow I'm going to finish off my video on the Perfecco Perkle and hopefully try starting another one of these, probably the sample slicer. Don't know, maybe get started on one of those, but you won't see me tomorrow. So that'll be that. Then Tuesday, hopefully I'll finish off the sample slicer just very easily, just like that. And then in the evening, we're getting together for the stasis leak. So that is literally, I'm going to open the kit and get on with it. Live streaming, just like this. That's the plan. That's all we're going to do. And I'll talk about it as we go, hopefully, assuming my voice is still available for use. And that will be Tuesday. And then moving forward, we've got Steve coming for a chat on Wednesday. Thursday looking at the Cosmo stuff. Friday looking at the Robo 3PT. Saturday Decard's Dream. And that should do us. Sunday we might have another chat or not. I'm not sure yet. So there we are. So do feel free to stop in. You don't have to build along. You don't have to have the kit. You can just watch me soldering something together while talking about stuff. I don't know, maybe that might be interesting. I really don't know, but of course, although these are being live streamed, you can watch them at any time. They'll always be available on the YouTube channel, so you could always pick up the kit at another point and then build along that way. That might be nice. What a nice thing to do. Yeah, so that'll do us. So cheers, thanks very much for joining us this evening. I hope you're not cold and wet where you are. I hope that you're avoiding all of the storms. And I will see you. I'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks very much for stopping by. This has been Molten Music Technology, Molten Modular, the beginning of DIY week, where I hope, I need to stop fiddling with that, where I hope to build a load of stuff with you lovely people watching and asking questions and getting involved. That would be great. So yeah, have a good one. In the meantime, go and make some tunes. Thanks for stopping by. I love it. I'm going to press the button. Press the button. Cheerio. Cool. Take care.